I was saying, use this the first time you practice tab, just as this stuff happened in this order, and I'm going to troubleshoot you specific stuff, as well as like generally people do it wrong stuff. The worst thing you can do is come up with like an alternate version and then have to correct it, like we're seeing with technique stuff right now. So yeah, you know, this is the accompanying piece to this. All right, cool. So we talked about bar chords. Nothing too mystical is happening there. You know, we've got E shapes. If I'm like playing the negative first fret, there should be playing E and E minor. There should be playing F and F minor. Here should be playing C with the where we talked about how we don't really care about the first string that much, but if you get it, it's cool. And then making that into a minor chord is your A minor shape. So minor here, major here, minor, major here. So with respect to your middle finger flopping down issue, I think it's just a matter of conscious awareness, and generally that you need to be more mindful of using your fingertips.
The problem is, even when my fingers are pretty much cut, it's still like rising above and hitting.
Probably this is where I am fretting it, right in the middle. You might be fretting up too high on the finger or down too low on the finger. If you're at all in jeopardy of your fingernail touching the fretboard, you just need to cut your fingernails. That may be the issue. Like seriously, like you should be able to go like really like crazy bent finger without your fingernail touching the fretboard. Is that occurring, or is your fingernail touching the fretboard?
It still touches kind of.
Okay, so cut your nails, dude. We all have different like physiology, like amount of room. Like I have a lot of space above my nail bed, which is like lucky me. But you need to cut your fingernails farther, and that quarter of an inch makes a huge difference. So that's why that started happening. That's why it's happening now. So there's good news, is just cut your nails. So hey, stop, cut your nails. Awesome, 2 minutes in, you can now cut your nails. And just, that's actually going to be really significant, it seems like for you probably. And bummer that you didn't realize that sooner, but it really is just cut your fingernail, I think. Like 100% cut your fingernail. Anyway, technique, and then, so for bar chords, what we were just talking about, we did Hey Joe, and we're like, got this part where you can do whatever you want for this. Whatever you want to do. And also we did it in first position, which is where we talked about your elbow, and how when we're down at this part of the fretboard, at first it felt like you needed an anchor, and that's what makes riffs feel almost impossible up there. So, talking about technique stuff, about 3 minutes in technique stuff, it's your tendency to go like this. And that all goes back to when it was hard to push down. It no longer is. Like anything that makes it so you don't have enough of your finger available is going to create problems. And for you, that's manifesting like that when you're in normal position. And then when you start to move up, your hand tends to go like this too, rather than just, you know, like we talked about, there's like 2 thumb positions. There's classical position, and a good way to trick yourself into getting into that is put 4 fingers on the bass string, where each one of them feels like they occupy that, you know, without your pinky feeling like a reach, and then start playing bar chords or reachy stuff or whatever, you know. And then, you know, versus my thumb's over the top, where our goal is to just make this C shape and be flush with the instrument. None of this back here shit. And you know, yeah, like I said during the lesson, most frustrating part of learning an instrument is things like this. Like, I have to start over. Cool, so there's us talking about rhythm and so forth up to about 4 minutes in your video. Now I'm going to start talking about lead. Hey, the first thing you're doing are note name memorization, where we talked about doing things out of order. You know, you're going to just make it a geography test. And I'm going to quiz you on this next time. It's just it's like four dots here, 4 dots here. Make it part 1, part 2, like you remember during the lesson. And just the key step is where you just quiz yourself on it, rather than being able to go G and A, C, or excuse me, G and C, A, to be allowed to think about D. You're just, you know, this is the country guitar. This city's called G. The end. Like, there's no more intellectualizing that concept. So yeah, I'm gonna go back here and write more blue ones and stuff. So 1, we got that. 2, we've got bar chords. 3, we've got our pentatonic stuff. That's pretty much what we did this time. We're going to do it in that order. And then Hey Joe before. Cool, so, and I really do want you to complete each thing before you move on. If you don't end up playing Hey Joe this week, it's cool, as long as you play bar chords. So, lead stuff. So, I talked about doing this around the 5th fret. And this elbow stuff, this is where you're going to see it really come into play. It's when you're like, if you try to play like F sharp minor pentatonic, 2nd fret or whatever, like people tend to adopt a whole different series of hand movements for that part of the fretboard, because that's where we started playing. The short version is just do it the same as you would at the 5th fret or the 8th fret. The long version is you have to retrain yourself to not do the first batch of hand movements that you taught yourself. But that's looking like it's going better for you already. Anyway, so we talked about you're going to use your pinky here. It's inefficient to do that, and it's going to, things like pull-offs and so forth, it's harder. And this is a conversational language course. I'm not going to say use your pinky up here. You're going to use your ring there because we're so often bending our pull block or whatever. So the part of this that we're actually... So, first thing you're going to do is just go up the scale. Don't worry about rhythm. I mean, you and your practice later. Being mindful of using your fingertips, aside from this pinky note, where whatever. So just not letting yourself flop down. Literally you are bent at your knuckle like you would be if you were doing a bend. So this is now you at home stopping and forcing yourself. Forget the concept rhythm exists, using your pinky using your fingertips and not seesawing at all, which you don't really tend to do when I'm just like this. Great, so get good at that. Having done that, now we're going to actually then try to play faster. Cool, so then we actually had some, could you just stop playing for now? It's cool, this is you later at home learning this shit, it's all good, bro. So then so just playing the scale up and down with your fingertips, slowly being super consciously focused on it until that gets somewhat easy, and then moving on to this other stuff, still being mindful of it. So the first exercise I wrote was hammer-ons on the way up, and pull-offs on the way down. I'm doing this all fast in rhythm because I can, but you can totally just however long it takes, pause. It's not a song that goes diddle-diddle-diddle-diddle. It's just you looking at a series of hand movements, and then the end game is you can do it in rhythm. Cool. And this is a lot about keeping your index finger rooted and things you said you did and I saw you doing. So fingertips. So then we're doing this one where we go, like that. And so when you get to the high strings, try not to do so much of a drastic shift in your arm position. Try to keep it just sort of all there. And so, cool, so there's that. And then we did the converse of that, which was... So, and then you can kind of hybridize them, whatever, there we go. And this week we're not really going to focus on double stops, trying to go but that can be done if I'm over top. Anyway, so there's that. So you've got... And then generally speaking, the very first thing I wrote was I circled this note right here, this note right here, and this note right here, and said bend a lot. And you want to work on whole step bend, half step bends. So on this string, on the 3rd string, the G string, here's your starting position. It's bent fingers, and you're using all 3 of your fingers to bend. We also noticed that you have a brain fart here where you go... Yeah, so hey, just stop doing that. Probably just having brutalized it once, it'll never happen again. It's 3 of these and 2 of these. Cool, so yeah, bending there. So a thing you can do, though, and so it's going to be the force of these 3 fingers, and then primarily these 2 pushing up. And then when you go to this string, your middle finger comes along, and it'll be the force of those 2 fingers. So if you want to, you can go half step, and try to match that in the whole step, though we would never actually do that in playing. And there is what we went over.